Welcome everybody to episode 7 of the Leen podcast. Anyone watching on YouTube is going to spot we have a bit of a studio going on temporarily, but we're here for episode 7. I think I said that already. Paudie, how are you getting on? What sort of training were you doing today? What's up with you? What's new?
Doing well now. I had a push session again. I feel like every time we do a podcast, I'm after doing a push session. So I did bench press and shoulder press. They're my favourite ones to do, so I try and do it as often as possible. And then, of course, we went afterwards to recover. We went to Elite Sports Recovery in Toker. Unreal, recovered very well. Went into the cryotherapy and got very cold, and then went into the sauna, got very warm. And for some reason, that helps athletes. So feeling good now. Ready. Might do a leg session now in the morning. Hopefully, I'd be up for it. Other than that, training's going well. Recovery's going well. Happy to get back and do another podcast. How about yourself, Ben? How are you feeling?
Not too bad now. It's kind of evident now Paudie only does pull. Or no, push. Push. Paudie only does push, can't pull. But yeah, definitely needed the cryo there as well today. And the whole recovery experience. I had a double day myself. Actually hit push, believe it or not. Ben is out here lifting. I'm supposed to be the endurance side of things. But I did a nice 7 miles as well. Just coming into track season now, so the mileage is a bit lower. Just focus on getting in a bit of track work. Hopefully next week the AI Games is coming up, so track season is starting, so it's really going to start picking up now. Hopefully bring some updates to all of you out there listening to us on how the season is going and how the season is going internationally and nationally for Irish athletes as well, as we're going to have a few runners on the podcast soon too. So really exciting stuff. But Paudie, as we get back to competitions with racing on the track and everything, do you have anything coming up with lifting or powerlifting?
Nothing big coming up now for a while. I suppose the big milestone in powerlifting is that gyms are opening up in a week's time, less than a week's time. They're opening up Monday, so I'm buzzing to get back to Mayfield Sports Complex on Monday. That's my local gym, best gym in Cork, in my opinion too. I think better than I love the Mardyke, but there's just something about the Mayfield gym, just a very close group, like, and everyone kind of knows each other. But going back there now Monday, do a good few sessions. I won't have a competition till August, I'd say, for powerlifting. All going well, it should be in August though, and just working up towards that. Won't tell you what total I'm going for now. I'll keep it a surprise, but it should be big, hopefully, come August. And what about yourself? Are you doing AI games? I know I'm not doing AI games now at all. This year I might do seniors. There's juniors and under 23s, under 20, in a couple of weeks' time. But I'm going to leave it off to the seniors and do the hammer and weight for distance and weight for height and see how that goes.
I'm gonna have to get Paudie back on the Leavell grind. Shout out Leavell AC, everyone listening to that. But yeah, Paudie just kicked off today's episode early there, I suppose. So we're just going to debate the best gym in Cork. It's the Mardyke. I'm just messing. AI games coming up next week. Looking forward to it now. Hopefully get the 3k in. Might give 1500 a go as well, but just really put a time under the belt, get a reward for all the training over the last few weeks, which is just what competition is for. It's all about enjoying it. And Paudie was saying, like, the gyms are opening, competitions are starting back soon. I have the AI games next week, so really important time to start ramping up the recovery as well and just focus on the easy days. That's why we got out to Elite Sports, just getting that early prep in before we get to the gyms next Monday. But that is a big thing as well. It can be quite overwhelming for people when the gyms suddenly open back up. And I can guarantee next Monday, Tuesday, whenever the gyms open up, there's going to be hordes of people flocking to the gym quite aimlessly. A lot of them won't have any goals, any structure behind them, any idea of why they're going to the gym. It's going to be, a lot of time, it's going to be quite forced in that going to the gym seems like a good idea, much like when a lot of people get out running as well. You kind of go out aimlessly without a goal, or even just start running, get out too fast. And I know last week we had the episode where we talked about things we wish we knew when we started going to the gym and when we started running. So anyone starting to go to the gym next week for the first time, we encourage you to listen to that. But even for people getting back into it, it can be quite daunting because you've been out of a routine for so long. And I just find myself that, like, if I didn't have, say, my coach behind me, it would be very difficult to have any sort of structure with the running. I don't know, would you find that yourself as well, Paudie? but we just want to touch on a few things that kind of keep us going with our training. Like, I think I said in an episode before that when, say, Paudie goes to lift and when I go to run, it's just become such an ingrained part of our routine that there's no like mental resistance to the activity. Like, we don't need motivation a lot of the time to actually go and train. It's become a part of our day that it's like, I have to get out and train. And that's really what you're kind of aiming for. Not even if you're trying to do it as a sport, it just needs to become part of your lifestyle and your routine. So, like, Paudie, what do you think can kind of help people just like to prioritize it, or to like make sure they do just stay consistent and keep going at the start, which is nearly the most important part of that?
Just getting back to the gyms Monday. I know for a lot of people they mightn't have access to a lot of the equipment over the last few months. So by no means don't be going for a 1 rep max in the upcoming weeks, or trying to lift your previous lifts, because chances are like some people will have gotten weaker over the months. I know myself, even though I've been doing a small bit at home, the equipment's limited. I have gotten a bit weaker, but like still trying to stay consistent. So try and build back up again. Start a program or a structure. Of course, keep a gym log, keep a book, and track your workouts so as you can track the weights you're doing. So as you know, you can stay consistent and you can improve again throughout the weeks. Hopefully now, once the gym's open, they shouldn't close again, because a lot of people are getting vaccinated and things are kind of getting back to normal, hopefully. So try to stay consistent, have the long term goals in mind, and don't be trying to push too hard straight away. It shouldn't, like, it won't work. It won't work well. It could cause injury now or something. Or as well, some people might be a bit bogged down over the fact that they're not lifting as much, or they're not able to train as hard as they used to. But it's all like, if you were there at one stage, you'll get back to it again. So just know that, like, in the long run, you will be able to get back to how you were. I suppose if you were at peak condition just before the gym's closed. So just kind of keep that long-term goal in mind, and of course set small goals, weekly goals. If you want to do certain reps or certain weight of an exercise, have that in mind. But of course, always be looking long term, and just stay consistent one stay open as well, and keep going as well. Don't go for the first few days and just think like, fed up with it again. Just keep remembering like why you're starting, and if you go the first day, why not go like every other day? So just make the most of it while it's open.
Wise words, wise words. Like, when the going gets tough, just remember why you started. I think that's quite powerful. But you just touched there, Poddy, on goal setting. I think that's something that's fundamentally so important for anyone with any sort of goal. Never mind if it's a fitness-based goal. If you're trying to grow a business, if you're trying to learn how to play the guitar, it's not going to be something you can do just aimlessly going in and saying, I'll just keep at this for a while and see how it goes. Like, if you go into the gym without any sort of short-term goal of where you want to be in like a month, or any long-term goal of where you want to be a few months after that, it's going to be very hard to actually just get the motivation to keep going if you're just doing it very loosely. And like, have that routine as well, that you're going on X day, and like, say you're going Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you're factoring in your rest days. But I think the goal setting is one of the most important parts of it. Like, even not even staying consistent, when you think about like actually pushing yourself in the gym, when you're trying to get to your limits and trying to get the most out of yourself. I even find with like running that if I didn't have an end goal in mind, that say like I wanted to run whatever time it was for the 5K or the 3K, or if you're trying to lift whatever it is for, like, say, your squat, bench press, deadlift, whatever the exercise is, have some goal like that in mind. Or even it could be a goal in terms of like, you fundamentally want to feel healthier or stronger or fitter, or like aesthetically you might want to look a bit stronger, you might want to put on weight, put on a bit of muscle. Like, have that sort of thing that you factor in, that is a goal that you're slowly building towards, and it's going to help you to enjoy the process a lot more. Because, like, I'm not going to lie to you, you do get some endorphins from going to the gym, get some endorphins from going out running, but like, it doesn't compare to how tough it can be as well when the going gets tough. But like what Paddy was saying there, when the going gets tough, remember why you started. if you have that end goal in mind, it's just going to be so much more of an enjoyable process. You'll actually see yourself getting towards that goal, and there's not much more satisfying things out there than like having a goal and seeing that you're going to get there. And once you actually get it, set another goal and go on from that. But when we were talking about like pushing yourself to your limit, like I suppose you're not going to be doing that as much if you're just generally going to the gym. But even for any athletes out there, I think it's something that I find so fascinating is like, say, if you're in a race and you're trying to get the most out of yourself on game day, when you get to competition, when you're going to do your max lifts, when you're trying to do your 1 rep max, just in terms of like the mental strategies you need to like get yourself to make the most of yourself. Would you find the likes of like motivational videos, Paudie, or like motivational strategies? Is there anything that you take on board yourself there? Or do you kind of just freewheel it and you just have your own grit that kind of gets you through?
I did used to turn to those motivational videos, like on YouTube. They're short enough videos; they might be only 8 or 10 minutes. I did used to watch those a lot when I was younger. I suppose when I was about like, so 16, 17. But then again, like since then, well, I suppose back then I didn't really have many like long term goals about what I wanted to lift or anything. Now that I have kind of like a proper goal in mind, I don't really need those to motivate me as much. Like I just kind of have the idea in my head and I just stick with it. And that's kind of what keeps me going rather than, watching videos of other people's experiences. It is good as well to watch those if you are finding it hard to stay motivated with, if you have any goals in mind. But yeah, I do kind of, once you kind of get an idea stuck in your head, for me anyway, I kind of stick at it. So if I want to bench press 200 kg by the time I'm 24, which is one huge goal for me, like 4 years time to do that. I just have that idea in the back of my head all the time, and every day I'm thinking about it. So that's kind of what keeps me going really and motivates me. There's there's a lot of podcasts, of course. Sure, David Goggins is a big motivator out there. All these videos you find a lot on YouTube. If you are stuck for motivation, I do recommend looking those up. But again, just remember, of course, why you started, and if you just think of that every single day, then that should be enough to motivate you, really.
One thing you said there, Paudie, that really stood out to me was that you have a goal for 4 years ahead. Like you want to lift a certain weight in 4 years' time. That's crazy. I'm not just saying that for the purpose of the podcast. That's mad. Like that shows though that like you are so successful in your lane that you have a long term goal set that far advanced that you know where you're going, you know where you want to go. You're just going to be so much more likely to succeed. And like that goes for all walks of life too. It doesn't even need to be like health and fitness. Like that's something we really preach about, and that's something that we're like in the industry of. But I like it does go for every walk of life. Like even say myself and Paudie here doing the podcast, if we kind of do this aimlessly, like if we have no sort of end goal in mind, if we don't say I want to get X amount of podcasts per week, it's going to be very hard for us to record it all, or else it's just going to be very sporadically that we record. Like we're actually looking at starting up a YouTube channel at the moment. That's something we're working on. We're like working really hard to get content out to you, get more podcasts out to you, and that's something that's really motivating us that we can kind of get that off the ground. And like you do need to set goals in that sense. But when we go back to talk about motivational videos, I find it very funny. Like I think when you're 15 or 16, they work so well. Like motivation isn't something that's going to get you out of bed every day. But I find that if you need one big effort or like one, you need to really get most out of yourself. That like motivational video can just nearly get the adrenaline flowing, get you just hyped, get you ready to go, and kind of give you like some self talk. Especially when you're running, you're gonna need a lot of self talk to kind of get you through your pain barriers. But I think when you're like 15 or 16, like all the guitar in the motivational videos, all the lads just shouting really just kind of gets you going, like more so than anything. You wouldn't even know what they're saying. Like kind of look up like Les Brown or like Eric Thomas on YouTube. Used to look at them all the time when I was 16 or 17. It's very funny. But Paudie was talking about David Goggins there as well, and I'm a big fan of David Goggins, big fan of his book. And one technique he talked about there that I kind of want to talk about today was the cookie jar technique. So with the cookie jar technique, he talks about when like you're in the middle of when you're training, you have to think about that reward you're going to get at the end, which is like the cookie, and you have to think about the feeling of the reward. So say when you're doing, it could be like a long run, or you could be in the middle of a lift, or like a really hard session in the gym, and like you don't want to do it, your body's not having it, your mind's not with it. But if you just think about that feeling of accomplishment that you do get when you do like push through a barrier and do something you didn't think you could do at the time, and you actually get it done and get what you said you'd done finished, it can be so satisfying. That can be something that can really get you going. But like, I think with like what Paudie was saying about the goal setting too, like a lot of it's just accountability and just making sure that you kind of check in with yourself every so often. Maybe keep a journal, like Paudie was saying, keep a gym journal, and just like see that you are going consistently. Like maybe toddle up at the end of every week and say, oh no, I only went 3 times a week, I wanted to go 4 times a week, and then get back on it next week, and just keep yourself accountable, because it can be very easy to like step off the wagon too. And I suppose like if you fall out of a routine, like myself and Paudie might find that sometimes our recovery won't be great, but even like if you go out and miss a few gym sessions, don't get completely disheartened. You can just get straight back on it as soon as possible. It's like getting on with a diet. Is there any other sort of techniques in the way of like keeping yourself mentally on it, Paudie, that you kind of thought about?
There's not many, like, I could say some here now, but like, I suppose I wouldn't be telling the truth. I don't know many other techniques. I do usually just, I suppose for me, I don't know, do some people find it easier than others, but I just have the idea in my head that like what I want to do, when I want to do, when I want to reach those goals, like I just have that in my head, and that kind of keeps me motivated. As well, like, you do know that if you have an idea in your head now, that like why not go for it? Like if you wanted it now, chances are you're going to want it in a year's time, so you might as well stick with it now. And as well, if you don't do it now, uh, when would you do it? So if you feel like doing it now, you might as well do it now. Get it done as soon as possible. And as well, if I have the idea in my head of bench pressing 200 kg by the time I'm 24, then I could, if I had to, I could happily retire from the gym for the rest of my life. Well, I wouldn't, like, because I do love it, but if you just have that goal in mind, you're going to feel so much better once you complete it. Other than that, I don't have any secret techniques. I don't know, is there any secret formula to stay motivated? To be honest, I think you either have it or you don't. And if you don't, you can find it. Like, it's not hard to find the motivation. You just got to keep looking. I don't want to get too deep with it either. But I feel like it's as easy as that. Like if you want something bad enough, you're going to motivate yourself, and you're going to wake up every day and think of that goal. And eventually, like, you see some athletes out there and how successful they are. They had goals, I'd say, when they were very young. So, and you see, like, they're famous now, and I suppose they have the money and they have the limelight. So, like, if that's what you want, you might as well go for it. That's it, really. Like, there's no secrets.
Yeah, really, really getting the fruits of their labor, I suppose. Any elite athlete out there, and like what Paddy was saying there, like you don't, if you can't go out and work for it, you probably don't want it that much. Maybe you need to look and put your focus elsewhere. And if you're trying to be fit, you don't need to go to the gym. You could try do CrossFit. You could try get into some other sort of sport. Just divert your focus and find something that works for you and really gets you to actually just stick at it. But Paddy, gyms are opening up soon. What's the first lift you really, really want to hit?
Um, I don't use machines that much, but I do really want to go for a leg press. See how much I can leg press again. Um, as well, I before the gyms shut down there the last time, I was getting really into seeing how heavy of a one armed dumbbell snatch I could do. So just of course, just picking up the one dumbbell and just snatching it up over your head. You probably can't see it there, what I just did there now, if you're listening on Spotify or Google Podcasts or whatever. But literally a dumbbell snatch. I got to 50 kg dumbbell in the Mayfield gym. It goes up to 65s, so that 50 kind of killed me. There's no way I'd do 50 now. I might get like 42 and a half. But I would love to get higher than that. Just one arm dumbbell presses as well. I love those from watching World's Strongest Man. As well, World's Strongest Man is on in 2 weeks. Comment your favourites, who you think will win. who do I want to win? World's Strongest Man. I love the Stoltman brothers on YouTube. So Tom Stoltman, my money's on him. I love him. Like he's unbelievable to watch. Like the Atlas Stones, the Albatross. Him, Eddie Hall. You're asking, is Eddie Hall in it? He's not. No, he's going fighting the Mountain. Haftar.
Is the Mountain in this?
No, he's not either. The two lads, Eddie Hall, the Beast, and Thor, the Mountain from Game of Thrones, they're going fighting in September. So that's going to be an unbelievable fight. I'll be paying pay-per-view for that. So it's going to be unbelievable. I suppose Tom Stoltman, I'd love him to win. Who else? The Polish lads, Marcus Kieliszkowski, I do love him as well. But like from watching World's Strongest Man, a lot of those exercises I started to do literally from only watching it the last couple of years. I've been doing them in the gym. So like one arm dumbbell presses, log presses. We have kind of like a makeshift log in the gym that I go to. What else? That's it really. The dumbbells is what I want because I have no dumbbells at home. What about you? What are you going to hit? Bench press?
Paudie knows me too well. I'll go straight and do a bit of bench press, say my rights, and do some shoulder press, and I'll be gone. But Paudie, I really want to just pick your brain on this now. Like that one arm snatch thing sounds unreal, but like I don't even know what's involved in the Strongest Man competition. I know a lot of listeners out there will, but a lot of listeners out there won't as well. I'm sure they'll be as fascinated as me. What actually is involved? What sort of events are there?
So usually there's the heats and the finals. Like so, last year now they had a farmers walk. So they had two big logs with handles in each arm, about 150 kg each, and they had to walk and see how far they could walk with it. You have usually there's a deadlift. There's no bench press actually in World's Strongest Man, even though a lot of people think there is. There's no bench press, so you'll either get a squat or a deadlift for whoever can get the most weight or the most reps. There's usually a weight over the bar or a keg tossed, as they call it. There'll be Atlas Stones, which is the best event ever to watch. Like it's just unreal. There'll be a truck pull.
What are the Atlas Stones?
The Atlas Stones is like don't know, is it 5 or 6 balls, and they increase after each one, and you have to get them onto different heighted barrels. So it could start off with like I think 120 kilo ball, and it might go up to 180. Tom Stoltman as well has the world record in that. He's incredible to watch in the Atlas Stones. His brother as well, Luke Stoltman, is competing this year, but do like watching him as well. But Tom, of course, Tom is the best, the better of the two brothers. I think the younger brother as well. But yeah, the events in World's Strongest Man is incredible. Like I'd love to be able to do it someday.
I'm sure we'll have the first Leen podcast member, and there's only 2 of us on the World's Strongest Man competition soon. But I'm devastated there's no bench press. I suppose that's my eligibility for it gone. I won't be competing in it anymore, lads. But yeah, I can't wait to get in, do a bit of bench press. I'm focused on track at the moment, so if Ken is listening out there, my coach, don't worry, I won't be in the gym too much, just for the novelty for a while. But as you were saying, the World's Strongest Man competition is coming up, and hopefully, touchwood, Tokyo 2021 is coming soon. The Olympics is coming. There's going to be so many sports and events out there. Paudie's on the strength side of things, I'm on the endurance side of things, and actually many of you might not know, myself and Paudie know each other through athletics. So I know Paudie from, we used to actually kind of do a bit of sprinting, so neither of us ended up going down that route. But I ended up going for the endurance side of things. Paudie ended up getting into the throws, like the hammer throw and the shot put, and I went out doing the 15 and the 3K, and we kind of went our separate ways, but we still share a common love of athletics. So might give you a small bit of a preview on what I think is going to happen there going into the Olympics. But the Irish athletes, I don't know what's happening with the field athletes or anything, but the standard in Irish athletics has gone through the roof at the moment. A lot of that might be down to the new running shoes. Obviously, it's going to be a lot of hard work, effort, and dedication from a lot of the athletes. I think the shoes get nearly too much credit because we've all come off the longest space ever. We've had about a year or two of just bulk like mileage and base training, which I think everyone's going to benefit from, and hopefully everyone runs really well this summer. But I think, I don't know if you saw the 800 meters at the weekend there, Paudie. It's like 146 for like 3 of the athletes. That's like the fast 800-meter time I've seen ran in Ireland in a long, long time. And there was 3 lads doing it, and like the pacer nearly had to drop out after 350 meters, which really just shows you the standard and quality of the race. And there was 2 guys there, Luke McCann, Andrew Coskren. They both ran 336 and 1500, which is insane. You'd struggle to get anyone under 340 for 15 there 2-3 years ago, and now the standard's so high. And we actually look like we have a fighting chance to have athletes competing at the highest stage again, which is great to see. What's everything like with the field events at the moment?
So there's no Irish throwers anyway coming to the Olympics, unfortunately. I suppose one of the uprising athletes at the moment, Sean Mokler, I throw against him myself. He was at the European under 23s there not too long ago. He's doing bits, like he's getting on very well. I'd say he's an Olympic hopeful. If he's listening, I hope he better be listening. Other than that, the Germans are going to dominate the javelin at the Olympics. Johannes Vedder had a 97-meter throw last September, and he's had 15 consecutive wins, I think. And he also has 5 throws over 96 meters, which I don't know has ever been done in a season. So he's world lead at the moment. He's going to win it. Like
if Kenyan guy there anymore.
I don't know. Is the Kenyan guy there anymore? What's his? I can't remember his name now. We'll look it up there, and we'll let you know in a second.
Diego.
Oh yeah, Diego. I don't think he's in it anymore. I think he was very old, even when he was competing. The man who taught himself to throw javelin through YouTube in Kenya, and he came to Olympics. Of course, the Polish are going to dominate the hammer throw. Then Paul Fidek, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's had an 82-meter throw in May, so just gone 31st of May at some club championships or team championships in Poland. Incredible, like. And then the Americans dominate the shot put every year. Ryan Krauser probably up there, like he could win it. What else for the discus? The Ukrainians. I can't remember the discus throwers' names off the top of my head now. Like, I'm not huge into discus, but of course, all the Germans and the Polish are dominating the throws. I'd say people be nearly confident enough to say guaranteed first place in all 4 throws, like shot, javelin, discus, and hammer. Like, there's just certain people are just in a league of their own at the moment. What about with the distance? Do you have any idea who's kind of hopeful for gold?
It's going to be tough across a lot of the events. Like, there's no one this year really, I'd say, is like completely dominant over everyone else. Like, we used to always have, like, Mo Farah would just turn up and dominate 5 and 10k, but he's actually coming back to the 10k this year as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen there. Farah versus Cheptegei. I feel like Cheptegei is going to dominate the 5 and the 10k. He's just unmatched. He actually is the 10k world record. Not sure about the 5k. But if he pushes the race out, makes it fast, doesn't let it get to a tactical race, I don't think Farah will have a hope. But I'd love to see Mo Farah do well. He really helps. Like, he's a familiar face. He's someone that engages really well with sport, so it'd be great to see him do well, but I just can't see him winning at this time. And then 1500, I feel like Jakob Ingebrigtsen. He's very promising. He's having a great season. I think he's more than likely, him and Chariot are going to duke it out. But it's very hard to see past Chariot when it comes down to it. I really want to give Jakob the backing he deserves. He's very young. It'd be great to see someone that young go out and do it, but like, he's still very inexperienced in championships, and I think people are going to kill me for saying that. But I think he'll pip Chariot in the end, and he might give the 5k a good go as well. If Cheptegei races the 5k, though, I can't see past Cheptegei. But the 1500 is mad standard this year. Charlie Grice, shout out my man from the UK, from Brighton. He's going to be having a cracker, hopefully, if he ends up making the UK team. But he's had mad times over the last few years, so expecting big things out there. Hopefully, medal going to come from there. And over the 800 then. That's a real tough one. It's very hard to see this year. Donovan Brazier was kind of dominant for the last few years, but he isn't so much he isn't as dominant this year, but anything can happen in middle distance running. Like sometimes they'll go out and they'll be hitting like 70-second laps, which for their standard is insane. Like it's insanely slow compared to what they're used to. So you can never predict how it's going to go. So it's all going to come down to today. But they're my picks. Well, for 800, Matthew Bergen's only 18 and he ran 144. So massive talent. But I feel like one of the Kenyans might take that one. It's going to be very, very hard to tell. But do you have any picks for the running, or do you watch the running at all these days, buddy?
I watched the running alright, but I haven't a clue of their names, like, so I would know. But other than track and field, what's your favourite thing to watch at the Olympics? Like, I know they have skateboarding in for the first time ever this year. Not a huge fan of that, but I'd watch it. Like, my eyes every year the Olympics are on, I suppose, since 2008 when I was old enough to kind of watch it and appreciate it. My eyes are glued to the screen for all 3 weeks of it. If it lasts 3 weeks, I'll watch anything that's on. But other than track and field, I do love the gymnastics. It's unreal to watch, like their strength and the swimming and the clay pigeon shooting. I know I'd say no one watches that, but it's so good to watch as well. The track cycling. Other than that, like, I watch everything, but they're the best ones. What about yourself? Is there any other event that kind of stands out to you other than track and field?
Um, well, in track and field, even if I go to that, my favorite events to watch aren't even the distance events. I actually love watching the 400 and the 100. Like Traven Bramall, I remember watching him in 2016. He was in college and he got third in the Olympics. I thought that was crazy. And I remember there was a whole Bolt versus Gatlin thing going on. That was insane. And then 400 meters, watching Wade Van Niekerk 2016 get the world record. I thought that was insane out in lane 8. But outside the running, I'll answer your question properly now. I do love watching swimming as well. So good. Going to miss Michael Phelps. I don't think he's competing anymore, is he? I used to love watching swimming, watching the dive in. I'm very into basketball these days. I'm not going to lie. Probably watch a lot more basketball than I do any track and field or running. That might come true in my predictions. But USA are going to dominate that. They just have all the NBA players. But it might be interesting to watch that this year. And I do like watching the soccer at it too. All the young lads. And the cycling as well, especially the endurance cycling too. I love watching that. And the track cycling is so, so exciting. And in terms of the other sports, I love watching the archery.
Oh,
A nice archery game can go by. It's very relaxed. We'll have to give an in-depth archery and clay shooting preview when it comes to it.
Do you know what we should do now for the YouTube? We should try every single Olympic sport. Try archery, try do a swimming race, and we'll write out a list of like 20, and we'll see who comes out on top between the two of us. 20 events. We'll do some archery, we'll do some clay pigeon, probably not clay pigeon shooting. We'll do a bit of cycling, maybe a couple of track and field events, a gymnastics event, maybe do the rings or something like that. That could be a good challenge for the YouTube channel.
Phenomenal idea. Write that down ASAP. I'm really down for that. I remember watching the I don't know if you ever watched them, Paudie, the Sidemen, KSI and all that. They used to always play the Olympic video game. I used to just want to get out and do all the events straight away. But that sounds like a great idea. Stay tuned for that. Might come very soon. Might be our next video. Who knows? But do check out our YouTube as well, guys. We are trying to work on that at the moment. We're kind of going through a change here at the Leen Podcast. Might not be called the Leen Podcast for very long. So stay tuned. There might be a bit of a name change coming. Never know. What do we kind of think about at the moment? Strength-durance. That's on the cards. Strength versus endurance, or strength and endurance. That's kind of our selling point. SVE. SVE is what the main branding is. That's going to stand for yeah. So we kind of got a nice twang going on. But let us know down in the comments, or send us a message. Let us know what you think. What name is going to dominate. But yeah, really, really big summer of sport. The Euros is coming up as well, Paudie.
Oh yeah.
Are you set for that, or have you any interest in the Euros?
Is that the Euros for soccer?
Yes.
Not really, no. I'm not a big soccer fan. I'd watch it, everyone at home except for myself probably watch it, so I'd be dragged in to watch a few games, probably watch the semis and the finals, but who do I want to win the Euros? I do love the Germans. The Germans, yeah, and the Dutch. What about you? And the Irish, are the Irish in it?
The Irish aren't in it.
Nah, not the Irish. So, but the Germans, I do love the Germans. So, I'm going to go for them. I'm going to bet. I'll put money on so fiver that the Germans will win the Euros this year, or the Australians.
It's not the Eurovision, unfortunately. So Australia was no longer part of Europe, like it was with the Eurovision. But I'm going to hold you to that, Paddy. We'll put €5 here, right now, right here, right now. I might have the advantage there. But I kind of I can't see past France winning it. I'm not going to lie. Although I would like to see a Spanish victory. But England are looking good too. A young team, but no, we're not supporting England in this Euros. But Trent Alexander-Arnold got injured as well. Big Liverpool fan, so it's always sad to see that. But big summer sport ahead. Big summer sport ahead, and there's also the European Athletics Championship, Paddy. Like, can't forget that. Like, July, yeah. The under-23s is coming up, all right. I'm not sure about the seniors.
And the AI games.
AI games. Do make sure to tune into Athletics Ireland stream if there's any, and the National Senior Championships. Might find myself and Paudie in the flesh out there competing. Might be the first foray into YouTube because we'll be on the stream. But yeah, do catch us then. Is there anything else you want to talk about, Paudie?
Not really, just we have a good few challenges kind of lined up now for the YouTube, get the YouTube going just to kind of accompany the podcast, because the podcast is getting a bit lonely. So we will have some YouTube videos coming up soon. We have some great ideas. Stay tuned for that as well. I'm kind of trying to plug my new Insta page. I'm going to put a post up very, very soon on that. It's Paudie.powerlift. I want to change the name of that too, because it was a very basic name. I was kind of, just when I was putting it up, it was asking me for a name, so I felt a bit pressured by Instagram to pick a name. I will try and think of another one, but follow Paudie.powerlift and stay tuned for a new name and some good strength and conditioning videos as well. Thanks.
Powerful Paudie, like, get the alliteration in. Yeah. Do you want to finish it when you said thanks?
Yeah, you can say thanks.
Thanks.